Hey traders, welcome back to the FXE YouTube channel. Today I wanted to give a really quick update because we've had some really nice price action this week, as well as some great trading opportunities. Before I get onto the charts, let me give a really quick update on the fundamentals. So PPI was released yesterday. It was better than expected, but overall didn't really have that much impact on the markets. Initially we saw EU spike down, but then after that it immediately came right back up, and then after that it was more or less full-on seek and destroy mode for the rest of the day. And today we have CPI, and CPI for me is the more important one. This is the one that'll confirm the short-term and mid-term direction of the markets. As I mentioned in previous videos, there's a reason why the dollar is coming down, and it's very likely to be related to inflation. So if we start with DXY on the daily time frame, you can see that it is turning bearish. We are pushing down lower and lower. We've cleared this weekly fair value gap right here. We've actually broke structure on the daily time frame, but we haven't actually closed below the daily structure point. So that's the next thing I would like to see. We also have a fair value gap below. That'll be the next target that I can see DXY coming to. But it depends a lot on what CPI provides us today. If CPI is good, I could see the dollar pushing right back up. But if it's right around expectation or below expectation, then we'll likely see the dollar come down further and continue down for the short term and potentially midterm. And as you can see, we've created some inefficiency on the last daily candle. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a spike up before continuation to the downside, maybe even with the news. Something similar to what we had last week, where news shot the price up, filled the inefficiency on the daily fair value gap before continuation to the downside. Now if we go to the 4-hour time frame, so you can see it's been quite choppy. We've had some massive pullbacks before continuation, just about every drive down. So this one, we had a massive pullback because of news, and then eventually price continued down lower, and then once again a massive pullback back into order block before continuation to the downside. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same thing here. Maybe we push down a little lower, then we have news, a massive spike to the upside, and then price continues to push down lower, depending on the results of CPI. Now if we switch over to EU on the daily time frame, so similar to DXY, well, inverse of DXY, you can see we are pushing higher and higher. We have cleared the weekly fair value gap, but what you'll notice on this time frame on EU is we've had a close over the daily structure point. So we've confirmed a bullish structure shift on the daily time frame on EU. So I would expect price to continue to the upside, at least short term and midterm. But I'd like to see that confirmation on DXY as well. Hopefully we'll have it either today or tomorrow. And as you can see, we also created some inefficiency on the daily time frame. So as with DXY, I wouldn't be surprised if we came down and swiped that before continuing further to the upside. But as for today, today's a big news day, so I wouldn't expect so much heavy movement in Asia and London today. We may get a little more continuation during Asia and London, but then I think it's more realistic for New York, probably with news, to come down and take out the inefficiency before we start continuation to the upside. Doesn't necessarily have to be today, could come later on, but at one point or another it would make sense that this inefficiency was taken out before we continue to the upside. And we are reaching the daily breaker block. There is still some daily and weekly inefficiencies above, but ultimately, now that we've confirmed a daily shift, I would like to see if price can get into premium before we have a reversal and continue further to the downside. So now if we go to the 4-hour time frame, so you can see we started the week bearish. I wasn't expecting such a massive pullback, but it did respect structure, and thereafter continued to push further to the upside, once again creating a higher high, breaking the daily level, and then more or less consolidating in this level. To me, it looks like reaccumulation for the time being, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get another pullback, potentially clearing the daily fair value gap, coming back into this order block before continuation to the upside. But short term, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to push higher, then have that pullback, and then continuation to the upside. But again, it depends a lot on the results of CPI. As we've cleared a lot of what we met our initial buy side target, if CPI is good, potentially EU may just drop from here. So we really need to see the results of CPI, and hopefully it's in our favor for a bigger pullback. And if we look above, so just above us right here is the daily fair value, daily breaker block. You can see that we do have some inefficiencies. So the daily fair value gap here, we have a really small weekly fair value gap here. This could potentially be a very nice area for buy side liquidity to be swept, as we have the equal highs here coming into the order block before reversing and falling down. So potentially, if CPI is good, we may see a spike up there and then see price come down after. But if it's bad, I wouldn't be surprised if it spiked down and then pushed up. But we'll get that confirmation later today. And like I said, depending on the results of CPI, it could drive the short and midterm direction for the coming days and potentially weeks. So that's more or less it. I mean, if I look at trading ideas, what I'm looking for short term is if Asia can bring the price into this level, then I'll look for longing opportunities. And then the level down here is more the area that I'm thinking news will bring us to. But again, it really depends on the outcome of CPI, because it could go the opposite direction as well, spike up and then come down. So anyways, that's more or less it for my update. So far, my weekend bias was correct. My levels may not have been so accurate, but in terms of overall direction, I've been on the right side so far. But in order to confirm the bias and confirm a bigger pullback, we need CPI to be on our side to continue to push EU further to the upside. So anyways, I'll see you for the next one. Peace. Hey, you made it to the very end. Thanks for that. If you could do me one more favor and click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, it'll allow the YouTube algos to kick in and help this channel grow. Thanks again. Cheers.